as we have repeatedly emphasized, a parameterized curve and its trace are not the same. There could be several different parameterized curves which could have the same trace. Nevertheless, we can define an equivalence relation on parameterized curves that capture the essence of such curves. So, without further ado, let me just give the definition of the equivalence of two parameterized curves. Let gamma from AB to Rn and gamma 1 from CD to Rn be two curves with the same trace. We say gamma is equivalent to gamma 1 if we can find a continuous strictly increasing bijection, let's call it U, from CD to AB such that gamma composed with U of t is equal to gamma 1 of t for all t in CD. Such a U or such an U is called a change of parameter. So thinking about this geometrically, it is very clear that gamma 1 and gamma both trace the same path and in the same direction, and if it's C1 smooth, if both curves are C1 smooth, in fact it would be with in some sense the same velocity also. This will be made precise in the exercises. Okay, so first of all, two exercises. Exercise 1, show that the above is indeed an equivalence relation. Show that the above relation is indeed an equivalence relation. And the second exercise is to show that if gamma and gamma 1 are equivalent curves, then gamma is rectifiable if and only if gamma 1 is rectifiable. Furthermore, length of gamma is equal to length of gamma 1. So some essential aspects of this curve are preserved under a change of parameter. Equivalent curves will not only have the same direction of traversal of the curve, but they will also have the same arc length. So this is not true if these two parameterized curves are not equivalent. For instance, if you parameterize the circle by e power it from 0 to 2 pi and e power 2it from 0 to 2 pi, you can check that these two obviously do not have the same length. One of them moves around the circle once, the other moves around the circle twice. Now that we have defined equivalence of curves, the next natural question is, given a parameterized curve, are there some natural nice parameterizations that we can work with? So in general, when you approach a problem in mathematics, you try to simplify the situation as much as possible. And one way of simplifying the situation is to choose a convenient parameterization for the curve that we are studying. Indeed, that's possible, and it's called the arc length parameterization. It's also called the unit speed parameterization when the curve is actually C1 smooth and regular. So let me just state the theorem. The definition of regularity will be part of this theorem. theorem, let gamma from AB to Rn be a curve that is simple and rectifiable. So choose a simple and rectifiable curve. Simple means that the map gamma is actually injective. Let S from AB to R be the function, the arc length function of course. S of t is equal to integral, not integral, S of t is arc length of gamma restricted to AT. Okay. Then S of t is a continuous strictly increasing function from AB to 0 comma L, where this L is nothing but L of gamma. It's a continuous and strictly increasing function from 0 AB to 0 comma L, where L is just the length of gamma, and S inverse from 0 L to AB is continuous and is a change of parameter, and the reparametrized curve gamma composed with S inverse has the property that length of gamma composed with S inverse restricted to 0t is nothing but t for all t in 0 L. So what is essentially happening is we have parameterized the curve in some sense by arc length. So you can give this theorem a name, existence of parameterization by arc length. So what is happening is, in an intuitive way, the reparametrized curve, if you travel distance t on the interval of definition 0L, then the curve also travels distance t on the curve. So essentially we have made the curve a unit speed curve. But because we are considering a general rectifiable curve in this statement, it isn't clear what speed means, but that can be made precise in the second part. If gamma is C1 smooth and regular, what regular means is that mod gamma prime of t is never 0. That is, its velocity is never 0. So it's a C1 smooth curve whose velocity or speed is never 0. Then S inverse is also C1 smooth. In fact, I can generalize this slightly. There's nothing special about 1. I can make it CK, and CK here also. S inverse is CK smooth, and we have gamma composed with S inverse prime of t. The speed of this curve is actually 1 for all t in 0L. Let me make one additional remark. For this second part, gamma need not be bijective. For the first part, we assume that gamma is bijective. For the second part, gamma need not be bijective. In fact, the reason why we assume bijectivity is to ensure this curve doesn't move back and forth and stop and all that. None of that can happen, because the speed is always non-zero here when you assume that gamma is a regular CK smooth curve. So once you see the proof, you will understand why we have enforced this condition of regularity, and why that regularity condition removes the necessity of bijectivity. So let's see a proof of this so that we can understand what is going on in its entirety. Proof. The fact that S is continuous and strictly increasing has already been proved in the last video, has already been established. Bijectivity will imply that this curve gamma is never constant on any non-singleton interval. Therefore, by the previous result that we established in the last video, we know that the curve gamma is going to be non-constant. The curve gamma, the arc length function S is going to be strictly increasing. That was the consequence of a result that we established last time. And the continuity of this arc length is always true, irrespective of what gamma is. The moment gamma is rectifiable and continuous, S is automatically continuous. So that takes care of several things about S. Now the fact that S inverse is continuous is a basic result in one variable real analysis, which I assume you are familiar with, is a basic result from one variable real analysis. Okay, so S inverse will automatically be continuous. S inverse will also be strictly increasing, and all that will also be strictly increasing, and maps 0 to A and L to B. These are all obvious consequences. L to B. Okay, so these are obvious consequences. So S inverse is in fact a change of parameter as claimed. Now let's fix T in 0L. And consider gamma composed with S inverse restricted to 0L. Okay, this is nothing but gamma restricted to A comma T composed with S inverse restricted to 0L, where length of gamma restricted to AT is exactly equal to sorry, one moment, I made a slight mistake. I don't want to restrict it to L, that makes no sense. So I would say, instead of fix T in 0L, let me say fix, let's say R in 0L. I want to restrict S inverse to 0R, and here also it's R, it's 0R, where I want to say that gamma L of gamma restricted to AT is nothing but R. Okay, and by the fact that this function S is strictly increasing, there will be a unique T. So this is essentially S of T. S of T is length of gamma restricted to AT. I choose the unique T for which the length of the curve up until T is exactly equal to R. There will be exactly one such thing. Okay, now it's clear, it is obvious that gamma restricted to AT composed with S inverse restricted to 0R is a reparametrization of gamma restricted to AT. Right, that's essentially the definition of equivalence of curves. So one curve is said to be a reparametrization of another curve if you can obtain that curve by reparametrizing the second curve, or in other words both curves are equivalent by a change of parameter. Okay, so we have got that gamma restricted to AT and gamma restricted to AT composed with S inverse restricted to 0R are reparametrizations of each other. So I just cleverly offloaded an exercise to you. So we get length of gamma restricted to AT is equal to length of gamma restricted to AT composed with S inverse restricted to 0R, but the length of this is just R. The length of this is just R because it's just a reparametrization of the curve gamma restricted to AT, and T has been chosen so that S of T equal to R. Okay, so this proves one part. This proves one part, that in fact we have changed the parameter, we have reparameterized the curve by the arc length essentially. Okay, now for the second part, assume that gamma is CK smooth and regular, but not necessarily bijective. CK smooth and regular. Okay, now from the fact that this gamma prime of T, from the fact that length of gamma restricted to AT in this scenario is nothing but integral A to T mod gamma prime of T dt, immediately shows that S is strictly increasing. S is strictly increasing because the derivative gamma prime of T is never 0, consequently the integrand is never 0. So S will be strictly increasing. Moreover, S is a bijection from AB to again 0L, where L is nothing but the length of gamma. Okay, now we can apply the inverse function theorem. The inverse function theorem says that S inverse is CK smooth. The fact that you can apply the inverse theorem follows immediately from the fact that so this is S of T. The derivative of S of T would be nothing but this quantity inside the integral by the fundamental theorem of calculus. It will be norm gamma prime of T. Because the derivative is norm gamma prime of T and the quantity inside gamma prime of T never vanishes, that's the assumption the curve is a regular curve, this expression norm gamma prime of T will be CK minus 1 smooth because gamma is CK smooth. Because of that, S of T will be CK smooth. And because the derivative norm gamma prime of T is never 0, we can apply the inverse function theorem to conclude that S inverse, which just is merely a continuous function from what we have established so far, we can use the inverse function theorem to show that S inverse is in fact a CK smooth function. Okay, so far so good. And not only that, the inverse function theorem gives you a formula for the derivative. So at a point R in 0L, the derivative of S inverse T, so let me just write this as d by dt of S inverse T is nothing but 1 by norm gamma prime at the point S inverse T, right? This is because the derivative of S, so this is not S of T, this is R, S of R, and this is d by dr. So I must change it here also. Yes. by the inverse function theorem, we have a formula for the derivative. The derivative of the inverse function at a particular point is the reciprocal of the derivative at the inverse point. So we get this. Now the chain rule says that if you consider the reparametrization gamma composed with S inverse and take the derivative at t, this will be nothing but gamma prime at S inverse R, not at t, again at R. This will be gamma prime at S inverse R into 1 by norm gamma prime at S inverse R, and of course this is a unit vector. So it's a unit speed curve. So when you reparameterize by arc length a CK smooth regular curve, what you get is a unit speed curve. Okay, so this arc length parameterization is also called a unit length parameterization. So note this nice thing, if you can reparameterize even curves like e power it, e power 2it running from 0 to 2 pi. That's you can reparameterize because we did not assume simpleness in the second part. We can reparameterize even curves like e power 2it t running from 0 to 2 pi. This is a curve that is far away from being injective. It goes around the circle 2 times. So because the second part we did not assume simpleness of the curve, it actually gives more information when you have a CK smooth curve. So I suggest that you work out the arc lengths and the unit speed parameterizations of certain common curves of all the examples that I have given when we discussed the definition of a curve, so that all these concepts are not just theoretical but also you have at your hands how to compute some basic stuff. This is a course on real analysis and you have just watched the video on the arc length parameterization.